Hi there, Adapters and Adapters TechX people. It is great to have you back here at the Catalyst for Conversion, powered by Revenue by Design. I am delighted to be here with Klaus Kohlmayr, who is the Chief Evangelist at IDeaS. We're going to find out what exactly that means now, Klaus, in a second. So your company, you are the platinum sponsor of the event. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, we think this is the right forum for us to interact and network with the industry. Ali and the company that she runs have done an amazing job over the last few years to really build up this network and ecosystem of revenue experts. And it's just the right people in the room to have the conversation about the future of revenue management.
So you're traveling a lot. You were in LA last week?
Seattle.
Seattle. You're in Seattle last week. Where else were you last week?
I was in San Diego before that, and I was in Madrid for the weekend, because we all do now leisure, the blending of business and leisure.
You can't go wrong with that. So you are the chief evangelist. Fill us in. I mean, he has an entourage that goes around like this, and he has cool shoes, which we'll get to in a moment. But chief evangelist, tell us more about chief evangelism.
Yeah, thanks for asking the question. It's a unique title. I just met another chief evangelist, so there's two of us now in the industry. We created this role 5 years ago at IDeaS to really talk about thought leadership, talk about the future of the industry, talk about future customer behavior and how that impacts the industry, and then how that impacts revenue management and pricing. So my role is to think about the next 3 to 5 years and to educate the industry about those changes that are happening or will happen, and then how they impact our discipline, and then also bring that internally into IDeaS for us to drive product roadmap and company strategy.
So it looks like your company has a track record of actually going out to the market and asking them what they think. So what do you think they're thinking?
Well, I think every company should go out and ask what customers are thinking. What we hear is obviously increased complexity. A lot of things have changed over the last 3 years, and I think we all need to unlearn kind of past behaviors, and we all need to stop having references to 2019, because we're a few years later now, and we need to adapt the new behaviors. And that means customers have changed how they work, they've changed how they shop, they've changed how they interact, and all of that drives change in how we interact with the customers in turn, and we need to be prepared to speak to them differently, need to be prepared to be on the right channels, need to be prepared to be positioned differently than we have in the past. So that's what we really talk about.
So for our viewers, knowing that there's complexity in there, not that I would say this, but there may be others in a relatively same space that your company does. When you're thinking of all the different types of accommodation types, are you trying to address those, or is it solely hotels or close to hotels, or where are you going with this?
Yeah, where we are going is to enable accommodation providers with science-based revenue management and pricing decisions. We were very fortunate that a few years ago we've made some decisions that have enabled us to double our client base in the last 3 years, or 4 years. We've moved from 10,000 to now 22,000 hotels, accommodation providers around the world. That includes holiday parks, campgrounds, obviously hotels, as well as short-term rental, vacation rental, and the likes. So we have diversified our accommodation kind of clientele over the last few years. We also do have a parking product that we've had for the last 10 years, which does car park pricing for airports around the world.
And so, the PMSs and the RMSs, what are you finding with the obstacles with interfacing with those?
It's getting easier, but it's still a challenge. I think that's my summary of it. There's a lot of new generation systems that have emerged over the last few years that make it easier to integrate with. They exchange data more effectively and more efficiently. We talk a lot about APIs and other technical nerdy terms that I don't want to use here. But in general...
Oh, go ahead. Everybody else does.
In general, it's getting easier to integrate. It's getting easier to get access to the data. And for us, what's very important to have trustworthy data and accurate data, because as a company, we make about 10 billion pricing decisions every day. And we make those automatically on behalf of hotels, and we need to make sure that the data we use in order to make those 10 billion decisions is absolutely accurate, because the trust that the companies have in us relies on the data that we receive and the decisions that we make.
So just from the perspective of scale, are you thinking that what is the lowest number of units that would be optimum for your company to the highest?
The lowest unit is a tent somewhere that sleeps 1 or 2 people. That's the smallest unit that we price. And the largest would be a very large integrated resort on the Vegas Strip, which probably has 8,000, 5,000 rooms.
Yeah, it's always good to go visit both of those. So, right. That's always fun. There's nothing not fun about Vegas. So when you think then about the path forward, and you see some of the obstacles that you're trying to solve as an evangelist, can you give us some idea, 2 or 3, on this is what we see as being challenges?
Yeah, I love when things come in 3. So I'm going to talk about 3 things. First, the amount of data that we all collect as an industry is increasing exponentially every minute. And that leads to, the reason for that is because the way we interact as consumers is through digital means. So the whole concept of digitization creates an enormous opportunity to collect the data that we generate through digitally interacting between us as well as consumers. If you have that data and you collect it and you're smart about it, then you can personalize whatever you're offering, the experience, a hotel stay, whatever you're trying to do. And if you're personalizing well and you do that very effectively, then you can start merchandising whatever you're selling. And when you talk to the chief commercial officers of some of the largest hotel companies and you ask them, what is your ultimate objectives? What they say is they want to sell anything to anyone, preferably through the direct channels. But we're really talking about merchandising as a concept from the retail industry that will move very, very fast into the hotel industry.
So I guess one of the secrets is your shoes.
Is it?
Yeah, it has to be.
The shoes are part of the story of personalization, right? Nike does an amazing job of personalizing, or allow people to personalize and customize their own experience of buying shoes. So it's an example of how traditional companies have adopted the concept of digitization, personalization, merchandising. So the shoes are an expression of that, and also they're a good conversation starter as well.
So as we wrap up here and you think about 2 or 3 things that people should really think of and say, come on, get on with it.
I would say first, forget what you believe is the reality. And kind of try to understand what is really happening in the market, in your business. Understand and retrain yourself in what new things have happened. And then the third one is reinforce that new behavior, because if you don't reinforce it, you will forget it very, very quickly. So if I think of what people should be doing this year is forget what they know, relearn, and then reinforce.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice for everybody as we all go through the cycle of lifelong learning. And forgetting, adapting, innovating is certainly a theme on the channel, and we really appreciate the conversation with you, Klaus. And equally, you'll see it in some of the comments and some of the images below that shoes matter. People judge people by their shoes, but equally branding and understanding how to communicate, connect, and have a conversation point. It doesn't all have to be hard. You can actually get to know people by what they wear. So these are important times and a lot of change happening. We'll bring you up to date as we always do. Keep looking over the fence and we'll see you next time.